Hi, I'm Jen and welcome to Tasty Memories. On this episode, I'm going to show you how to make pumpkin and goat cheese filled beet ravioli that are served in a brown butter sauce with sage. It's insanely delicious and so pretty because of like all the little colors. You feel like you're eating the rainbow and like I'm a ravioli unicorn. So recently on Instagram, I posted a picture of pumpkin seeds that I made, and I asked people, what can I do with pumpkin? Because I had all this leftover pumpkin. I ran out of things to do, and Home Baked Cat said, hey, why don't you make pumpkin ravioli? So I did. Now first we're going to make the filling. Now in a bowl to the pureed pumpkin, I'm going to add about 2 heaping tablespoons of goat cheese, soften a little bit, and some garlic that I softened in a pan. This is 1 clove, chopped up, a little bit of salt, and cracked black pepper, just a little bit, little tiny splash of apple cider vinegar. Then we're going to add some spiced honey cream. This is just raw honey with a bit of spices like cloves, cinnamon, and nutmeg. I know it's a little weird to add to garlic and goat cheese, but trust me, it's going to work. Just a little smidget. And if you don't have this, you could just add honey and cinnamon, nutmeg, whatever you'd like, and mix that up. Now the filling's done, just set that aside, and now we're gonna work on those fat beets for the dough. So now I have my board here, and just as a heads up, you better wrap whatever surface you're going to work the dough on with plastic wrap, just because the beets are going to stain whatever surface you're using, so use some plastic wrap protection. Now I have some flour here. I have 1 cup of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of semolina. The reason I use this mix is because semolina will have or provide that grainy, chewy texture that we love about pasta. I'm just gonna mix these through a bit. Don't worry about the lumps, you just work them out. And you could do this in the bowl, just traditionally this is done on a flat surface, and it's a lot easier. Now I'm gonna make a little well in the middle here. So you just kind of make a wall of flour, and this is where we're going to dump in our wet ingredients. Got 2 eggs here, a little bit of salt, and I'm going to pre-mix this with the fork just to get it going, and it'll be easier to mix the beets in later. I'm going to add a few tablespoons of the beet puree. I made a little extra just so that in case I need to add more moisture, I could just add the beets. Okay, there's about a few tablespoons. Mix that together. And you'll see it pulling the flour from the sides a bit. That's okay. Now I'm going to get my hands in there. Don't worry, we could wash our hands later. And we're going to slowly pull the flour from the walls and start mixing it together. Again, if you need more moisture, you can add more beets or maybe a little bit of water. But just keep working it in until you form some sort of mass. Look at that gorgeous color. Right, once it starts becoming sort of pliable like this, you can go ahead with 2 hands and gather all the flour on the board and kind of press it in. If you have clumps like this, I'm a beet monster. You just want to make sure to remove some of that from your fingers so everything gets mixed in. and keep working. Now you can see this dough ball starting to form. If you have a mixer, go ahead and throw all the ingredients in and do it there. I don't, and to be honest, your hands are much better tools. Now, if you feel it a little sticky along the ball, just gather some more of that flour and work it in. You see how I'm just kind of folding the dough in? Okay, my dough is feeling pretty good right now. Actually, it's a little sticky. And add just a little flour and keep working that in. At first, it's going to feel really soft, and the goal is to work the gluten in the dough. So you got to keep pressing it, keep working at it until you feel a nice smooth surface. All right, now it's been about 8 minutes. I have this beautiful dough ball. You see that it's not leaving any stickiness here. You know it's ready and smooth, and it looks like Barney's butt. I love you. You love me. Now we're gonna let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes to kind of rest up, and I'm gonna cover it with a damp towel and let it hang out. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. Now I'm going to quarter the dough, just cut through it with a knife. You don't have to make all of this into ravioli. You can cut it into other pasta shapes if you like. You just can wrap it in some plastic wrap and put it in the freezer when you need it. Now we're just going to work on one section. Now with the other pieces, make sure you have them covered with the damp towel if you're going to make a lot of ravioli. And with this, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of flour and flatten it out a bit to get it ready for the pasta machine. For this, I'm going to use my pasta machine. If you don't have this, you can use a rolling pin since you're not making like really fancy cuts, you're just flattening it out. With the pasta machine, you're going to have it on the widest setting, and then as we work the dough, you're going to lower it down to about a 6. That's the size that we want. I'm going to go back to 1. First, I'm going to put a little flour dust in, and then you're going to feed it through and crank it out. Once it comes out like this, fold it over. We're gonna slide it through again. Still on the same wide setting. And fold it one more time. Another dusting. Now we're gonna move it to the next number 2. And now, down to the final number 6. So now we're going to fill this side up and then fold the other half, and then we're gonna seal them all together. So you're just gonna take a little dollop at a time. You don't wanna overstuff the ravioli because then they'll just burst when you cook them. And you wanna leave about a few inches apart so that we can cut them up. Now just take some water. You're going to create little intersections so that when we fold over the other side, it adheres to this side. Just a little bit. Some people use an egg wash, but I find water works just fine. And just bring the other side over. Right over here. And now, very importantly, when you're sealing them, you're kind of going in with the intention of removing any air pockets, because if you don't take out the air, when they boil up, they'll, sort of swell up in the water and burst on you. And you don't want any premature bursting now, do ya? Now we're going to cut them up. You can use a knife, that's fine, it'll seal perfectly. But I want that little crimp pretty edge, and I don't have the special ravioli cutter tool thingy. So I'm gonna use this shredder here, it has a scalloped edge. Just wanna go around the edges. Press firmly down. Look how cute. There's your ravioli. Any extra edges you could just roll up into a ball and roll out again. So I'm gonna set them aside. I have some semolina flour in here. And there we go. You can make 8 smaller ravioli, but I made 6 larger ones. And for this recipe, you will make about 32 if you went ahead and did everything. You can also make a whole bunch of them and put them in the freezer, but I'm just gonna make these to eat for dinner. Now in the boiling salted water, drop in your ravioli. Now these are gonna cook very quickly because this is fresh pasta. So give it about 3 to 4 minutes. They will float to the top. So we're gonna make a brown butter sauce. What does that mean? We're going to brown the butter, but not to the point of burning, just so it has a nice nutty flavor. Now while the butter is starting to melt, I'm gonna add some sage leaves here. I'm just gonna tear them up, nice and rustic-like. Oh my goodness, this smells amazing. See that now the butter has browned. I'm just going to turn off the heat. The ravioli have floated to the top. They are ready. Just going to use a strainer here, drain off the water, and pop them into the pan. Just going to give them a quick toss. Oh, it smells so delicious. Since I use salted butter, I'm not going to add any salt. Give it a quick, beautiful. And they're ready to serve. Alright, can't wait to try this. Oh, it looks so beautiful. The color of the pumpkin against the beady red pasta. That's fall on a plate. It just warms you up from the inside. The subtle sweetness helps you dive into the savory sauce. It's buttery, nutty. That hint of sage, delicious. So I hope you guys give this a try. If you do, take a photo and send it to us. I love seeing you guys try the recipes and send us photos. Use hashtag JustEatLife. Like us on Facebook and on Instagram, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.